I am Iron Man.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another Nerdy Up North podcast, the nerdy podcast hosted by two Northern nerds. I'm one of your hosts, Sam.
And I'm the other host, Paul.
And today is dun 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 dun.
Yeah,
Talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It's not a podcast without one of us singing now, apparently. So yes.
Yes, and I had to do that. It's been in my head all day, and I was like, I'm gonna get it in. I'm gonna get it in there.
So we're going to discuss the MCU. We are going to do our top fives, but it's more, shall we say, a relaxed talk rather than sticking to the normal format. It'll be like say our opinions on the MCU, what we love, what we like, our favourite moments in the MCU as well will be discussed. So a few interesting ones that I say. I know Sam's got a love for certain Marvel films. I think we will have shared views quite often because I think, like I said, you can't not love the MCU for what it's done, and like I say, I don't think it'll ever be beaten or repeated, which is hard for me to say with it being a big DC fan. But yes, so we're talking about the MCU. So what we'll do, we'll start with Sam's little disclaimer she likes to get out of the way.
I do, because I just think it's important to say it, because like these God, I can't even talk, man. So the views that we say today are our opinions and our opinions alone. And if you don't like them, that's fine. Just come on Facebook, come on the comments, and let's have a conversation. There's no need to get anything out like that, get outrageous, and we're just trying to keep the toxic levels out of fandoms and out of the nerd community, because it's not needed.
Definitely.
So there you go.
There you go.
But yeah, and especially good. This topic, because it gets people riled.
Yes.
And everyone has a different opinion on the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Certainly. Some people, like I say, love it. Some people actually don't like it. They think it's too commercialized now, which I can see aspects of. But again, to me, it's always going to remind us of my childhood, of reading the comics, now seeing the things I would never thought I would see in a million years actually on screen, as realistic as we're ever going to get, unless someone starts getting his the spider serum and start injecting us, and then shit's going to get real. But yes, it is a fun topic. Like I say, it's something I've been smiling about all week, thinking about, talking about, especially after seeing the newest Marvel film, which Sam hasn't seen yet. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, which was Shang-Chi. And I have to say, it was Marvel back to form. It's been one of the better Marvel films I've seen in a long time. And I genuinely, as a Marvel fan, it was fun. The characters were interesting. No one had that annoying factor. Everyone had that huge likability, had a lot of in-jokes. And they did well with characters which could have been controversial as well, shall we say, with the Mandalorian. Can't say Mandarin. That's the one I was trying to say. But yes, it is in my, like say, favorite films I've seen this year as well. A lot better than Black Widow, shall we say.
Wowza, that's bold statement. If anyone is watching us on YouTube and can see the big pile of clothes that's actually here, I apologise. My room is an absolute pigsty at the moment. And I've realised today the quality of my camera is so bad, given that Paul's now got a new one and looks all shiny and bright. What do I do with your camera?
Oh, jealousy is a wonderful thing.
It is, given that I literally have just bought the same one before we came on here. So, so I was just going to ask.
Yeah.
Oh, go on, sorry.
No, it's the same. Just upgrading the like I say, the passion now. Like I say, with the podcast starting to get a little bit more views. Like I say, the last video did really well, still growing, which is again me. And a thank you for Donna for coming on and being a wonderful guest as well.
Happy birthday as well, Donna. Happy birthday for the day. Big 3-0.
Yes, it's turned old like us now, so we don't feel as bad that all these youngsters are coming on and showing us up there.
Still feel bad. Anyways, I've got a question to ask you. And it's one I was thinking of today when I was thinking of the MCU. Just how did you feel when you first heard that Marvel was going to be doing films, movies. And how did you feel about Iron Man being the character that was going to be the first one out the gate?
It wasn't really like big news at the time because it was before Marvel was involved with Disney, like I say, as the studio. It was just after, like say, I think Spider-Man, or was it the X-Men films that came out? So we've been treated to, like say, the Marvel universe in a way in different aspects. We weren't actually told that about the MCU connected, like everything connecting with the first Iron Man. We were just told that Iron Man was going to be coming out and it was going to be directed by Jon Favreau. That was always the interesting thing, because before Iron Man, like say, wasn't it just Swingers, or I think he'd done a few guest spots on Friends where he wasn't really that big of a name.
Pete from he was Pete from Friends, and that was the shocker. I mean, if he's had work out behind the camera, I didn't know about it. Had no idea. I'm just thinking, why is Pete from Friends now directing this movie? And now we know why, because the man's a genius.
He's probably went in with a pitch of the century as well, though. So going into Marvel Studios and just saying what the idea he had, I would have loved to have been in that meeting. I would have loved to be seen.
I would love to have been in a lot of the meetings. The job I always wanted in Marvel was to be part of the continuity team. Because they literally had to sit there and make sure all of the movies had continuity.
Yeah. But,
and I wanted to be a part of that team so badly.
Certainly. But to answer the question that you asked, I was excited about Iron Man just simply because I liked Iron Man as a character. He was one of the go-to comics I used to read as a kid. I love the story of, like say, the Devil in the Bottle and stuff from the comics, like that aspect. So I was always a big Iron Man fan, and I think the big thing that got me pumped, like really excited, was the first time you saw the poster and you saw Iron Man suit, because you thought, how's it going to be? Because in the comics it's quite robotic and like not really fluid. But when you saw the first poster where they saw the red and gold and in the superhero pose, shall we say, that Scarlett Johansson gets the piss took out of her so much for in Black Widow, even the poster was iconic, and you thought, right, this could be interesting. And I think the next part where that blew up, again, I'll probably talk about this in a little bit, was the casting.
Yeah.
Because
Sorry, I'm just making a note. Sorry.
Because the thing that you notice as well, Marvel from the get-go nailed it with every single casting choice. They've not really made a mistake if you look back through them.
No. I think there was a lot of criticism over Chris Evans being Captain America, and I think that solely came off the back of Fantastic Four. He played Johnny Storm. It's a very different character, and I don't think he was very much welcome to the part. But I think perceptions and opinions changed when you saw the first Avenger, because it's not on my top list because I have others that outrank it, but I still really enjoyed the origin of that, because it's, when you look at Marvel Origins, and I can't speak for Shang-Chi because I've not seen it, but they have a formula, and that kind of didn't fit that formula, and I liked it. But I just, what was I going to say?
So we're talking about
there's a lot to do. Much to do.
So we're talking about, like say, first experience of the announcement of Iron Man, shall we say? Because they didn't announce the MCU; it was the announcement of Iron Man, basically.
At the time, I wasn't a comic book reader. My husband was, and I knew this, and I knew he would be excited about it, because Iron Man is one of his favorite characters. I wouldn't say favorite characters, but he likes Iron Man. And I don't remember anything to do with lead up to it. I wasn't really interested. It wasn't my thing at the time. But I do remember going to Asda and picking up the you know how they do their own limited edition casing. And I got Iron Man and Hulk, because they were both identical. The only two that we've got in that format. I have all the rest in different, like, literally, I think up until like Civil War. So after Civil War, they're all on Blu-ray, but before that, they're all on DVD.
Bless you.
And they're just all in different formats, but I remember doing that. But I got into Marvel in, I remember, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And 2014 was that the year of Guardians.
Can't
Don't get
remember.
it, I watched the films with Anth,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked them, but not like I do now, if that
Cool.
makes sense.
Yeah, so now it's more of a religion rather than anything else. It's a need, because that was what I was talking about Nick for last week when we went to see Shang-Chi. She was like, what are the pictures? What should we see? I went, there's only one film to see. She went, well, I want to see Candyman. I want to see Free Guy. I went, there's a Marvel film out. We're going to see the Marvel film. That's just how it is now. But leading in from that question, which, like I say, was a brilliant question to start with. Like I say, totally, I wasn't expecting that. I like that, though. I'm going to go with my first pick. I know it's your pick this day, just because it's leading into what we're talking about. My first pick is Iron Man, the original.
So is mine.
So from 2008, yes.
So is mine.
Great.
Because I couldn't not pick this one because, one, it's the one where it all started from. Mm-hmm. If this failed, we don't have the rest of the Marvel. We don't have anything else. If that failed. And it was just perfect from start to finish. There was nothing I do not like about that movie. And Downey Jr., Robert Downey Jr. is just, I mean, he's Tony Stark.
It's one of them things where it's when the film says, right, we're going to go big, go home, take a big swing. It's not a safety. They went, being honest with you, they went balls to the wall with this one. Like say, where everything they put in, like say the cast, Robert Downey Jr., Jeff Bridges, Gwyneth Paltrow. I know Terrence Stamp had a bit of an issue, but I didn't mind him as War Machine.
I didn't mind him as Rhodey until I saw Don Cheadle, and I'm like, I prefer Don Cheadle. Yeah. Don Cheadle is Rhodey. Yes,
certainly. But and for an origin film as well, it was done absolutely perfectly. Like say, they mirrored the comics as well. They had elements in, but what we didn't realize as well was that little elements that they had in that was going to lead further on, like the little things from like the Ten Rings. The guy who played the main bad guy who kidnapped Tony Stark had a Ten Rings tattoo on the back of his neck. And now that's leading into Shang-Chi, the same symbol. Again, just to get like, sorry, I'm nerding out a bit. It's just like
it's fine.
Going through all them different aspects that they still had these ideas back then when where they were going to go, and going from like say having, as you said, Robert Downey Jr. playing the ultimate playboy. Again, we all know his backstory and how he's lived his life, and if he couldn't hit Tony Stark, then nobody would have been. He just, like say, it's one of these roles now when you think, oh, in 10 years' time, they'll probably remake Iron Man. No, they can't recast him. That's always going to be the big thing. But for that, like say, even the story-wise, again, Jeff Bridges playing Ironmonger wasn't blown away as a huge bad guy, but it was fun. It worked.
I loved him, and this is like the mirror. This is how like Ant-Man mirrors Iron Man, but still works on its own because you've got Yellow Jacket, you've got Jeff Bridges' character, who I cannot remember, Obadiah, and you've got them two. The story just kind of mirrors each other, but it just works because I don't know. I think it's the introduction of the actual character is far more important than the plot and how it plays out.
Yeah.
If that, I don't know if that makes sense.
No, certainly I think. But the thing about what I loved about Iron Man as well, like say, was the elements they brought in, like the playfulness. When Tony's in the garage building the suit, and he's talking to these robots, and these robots are like quite simple, but they've got their own personalities, and they do that really well. Like when he crashes through the building, and the robot lets go the fire extinguisher on him, like 5 seconds too late. You can see he's pissed off, and it's like, it's just comedy done well, but in an action film and in a comic book film, and everyone plays the parts. And for an origin, and there's nothing more iconic than the end scene when Tony Stark's doing the most Tony Stark thing is having this interview at a press conference, and he refers to him as a superhero, and they go, "We didn't call you that," and he's like, "Oh, yeah, fuck it, I'm Iron Man." And it's just like, a perfect ending to
It
the way
gives us
it's goes.
chills.
Yeah.
It gives us chills thinking of that end scene. Just because he does that long pause and then goes, I am Iron Man. Like, I'm doing it. I'm doing this.
I'm ordering this shit. Yep. There's nothing you can do about it. I've got the suit. I'm Iron Man. And again, it's the first film that introduces to the Marvel staple now that is the after scene credits. Because I shit myself as soon as I saw Samuel L. Jackson, because I wasn't expecting it. I'm not one of these that found out beforehand when I saw it. And I was like, what does that mean? Is this going to be more? Like, they're not going to do it. And then when you thought about it, you thought, this is going to get so much more exciting, and it led into so many other different things. And that was absolutely breathtaking. Yeah,
no, I totally agree with you. I didn't quite get it at the time of first viewing. And which I hate myself for. I really do. I really wish I was like there. Like I tried. Like Anth's been into comic books since he was a kid, and I've been interested, but it didn't quite take the leap into actually getting into it, because as a comic book reader and someone who wants to start out reading comic books, it's a very intimidating thing to do, because you don't know where to start.
Yeah.
I still today struggle to, like, if I go into a comic book shop now, I'm looking just only at issue 1.
Yeah.
I don't look at something else, because it's you've got to try and find a gateway to get into it.
Yeah.
So I just wish I took the plunge earlier than what I did, but I love my origin when it comes to comic book reading and how I got there, so I don't particularly want to change it. And I love the first comic book I ever read, so and I don't want to change that for anything. Certainly. But the movies did help to get into the comic side.
Oh, definitely, because then you do your research afterwards. And again, when we said to do this podcast as well, we were going to talk about the big Marvel moments. And I don't think, other than one we'll probably mention a little bit later on, the Iron Man part of that aspect that what is, to me, is the ultimate one. I still get, goose pimples when I hear it, and just to see the action. I'll always go back and watch the first one and think, this started such a thing. This became a runaway train that we're still going through. Now we keep waiting for the one where it's going to say, oh, it's not going to do so well or anything. I thought that was going to be Black Widow, but again, I know a lot of people did get from it what they wanted, but again, that's just my personal opinion.
I just think with Black Widow it was just too late. It should have been done well before it was. We always wanted a Natasha film. Nobody was in dispute that they didn't want Natasha to have her own film, because all the rest of them had, why not her? She's been there since Iron Man 2. It was just too late in the game, because we already knew Natasha's fate. Unless that was going to change, then there's no reason to have that story, because it's as a Natasha fan, it's devastating to know that whatever she does in this
doesn't matter.
She's gone.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything, because she's gone now.
Yeah.
It was just a little bit too late.
Yeah. It seemed like a film just to introduce Elena, which again I'm not going to complain about, but I could have done with her being introduced in an episode of a TV show or in another film. I would have been happy with that. But again, that's just me crying over giving us too much content. So no,
I think we're a bit spoiled when it comes to Marvel.
Certainly, no, definitely.
So Iron Man was definitely one of mine. Couldn't not pick it, because it is the starting point. It is the reason why we have, and it not just not for them reasons alone. It's still one of the great Marvel films that's ever came out, because it's where
it started the blueprint for everything to come after.
It was the standard. It was the standard until you got to Iron Man 3.
Yeah, we'll not talk about 5 worst, because that that could be.
I don't actually have 5 worst. I have 2 that I don't know why just felt like laziness, and I don't know if this is the time when the studios were getting changed and one studio was putting their opinion in over the rest, because for what I know, Sean Black is a good director, and I think when his name was pinned against Iron Man 3, it was an exciting time, but that is just an absolute shit show of a film. It
Mhm.
really is. And there's only one saving grace when it comes to Iron Man 3, and you can disagree with me on it, is in Civil War when Tony says he almost blew his suits up for her, and it still wasn't enough. He still wanted to be Iron Man because he is Iron Man. That kind of give an okay to the events of Iron Man 3.
Yeah, because it kind of like
For
just
me.
just got hidden under the carpet a lot of the time. Like say, especially when they take away the reactor out of his chest as well, they try to go too far with it. But again, we're talking about the positives rather than because
It's the only negative I have is it Thor 2, Iron Man 3 started to get, it was laziness, and after Iron Man 3, I think me and Anthony checked out. Like that's it. Like this is not going the way that we expected to. And then, and I'm going to do my second pick because it leads in lovely. The greatest Marvel movie ever came out and just went a big fuck you to the last two, and it is Winter Soldier.
Right, okay.
Absolutely. This is my favourite Marvel movie ever. There's nothing will top it for me because of how great it is.
It's not in my top 5.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a shock. It's so good. No, I just at the time it was just what we needed.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, it was a good film. It was a good, but to me, and again, this is my take. I didn't feel like a comic book film, if that makes sense. I felt like
it was very much a spy film.
Yeah, I felt like I was watching James Bond in an outfit, which is not a bad thing. Again, I'm not knocking it. It didn't tick the boxes. And again, we've had discussions before. I love Chris Evans as Cap, but Captain America does bore us a little bit as a character. He's too good. He's too nice. He's not really got the darkness that, like, say, other characters have. He's too much in the Superman mold for me to get invested in. But again, it introduced us into the Winter Soldier that was Bucky, and Bucky is a very, very good, complex character, which I have enjoyed the evolution of and hope to keep seeing him grow as well.
Same here. I disagree with you a little bit on Cap. Obviously, I am a massive Captain America fan, and I'm an even bigger Chris Evans fan. But I always saw Cap as quite a naive character, where, especially being hurled into a world that he doesn't understand.
Man, that time forgot.
And he's, and Winter Soldier, when he's got his list, and he's like, he's talking about Marvel Games, like, I'll add it to the list, and he's trying to navigate a world he just doesn't get, and he doesn't work good on his own. This is why he needs the like of Sam Wilson and Natasha and even Bucky to an extent, because he needs somebody to navigate him. I think the relationship between him and Sam is beautiful, and I love the fact that transcends to now him and Bucky. It's like he's got a part of Steve with him because Bucky's there. And I love their chemistry. I'm a huge Sam Wilson fan now because of how Anthony Mackie played him. And I think it's testament to him that when Sam Wilson in the comics got upgraded to Captain America, and it was back in 2015, I believe, might even be 14. And I remember being so excited to go and get that issue because I was like, wow, this is history. Like this means something. And now the fact that people are seeing it on screen, and he's going to be Captain America, I love it. Like, it gives us chills just thinking about the prospect to have with this character. I love Sam as a person. I think his heart is so in the right place. He understands Cap in a way I don't think anyone could.
I like that. The big element I did love about the whole Winter Soldier aspect was the fact that they went, right, we're going to tear down the roads and get rid of S.H.I.E.L.D. and take that safety net away, and think, right, that aspect made it more interesting because since the Avengers came out, S.H.I.E.L.D. was all this agency that was trying to get people together. they didn't have that before. They had to then basically go alone and get the decisions that they were doing from basically themselves. And again,
Oh, definitely.
bringing Hydra back as well brought a new element and different like things. How deep did it go? And that was a great element that it continued throughout the films, and it's still continuing in aspects in, like say, in the Marvel universe today, which again, I never thought they would have the balls to do, to be honest. But they have made some very brave choices, and again, they did that with this film as well. The only thing I thought was, like I said, the person that I know I've always had issues with her as well is the Emily who plays Sharon Carter. Like I said, it always like I say as it got later on, like a little bit uncomfortable at times. But I
just don't love, and I wasn't a fan of Sharon in the comics. And I'm not even a fan of her in the Marvel universe. I did not give two hoots that this character was in there. I was so happy on what happened on this week's episode of What If. I was actually cheering. Yeah, get it. I just don't find her interesting as a character. She's a second rate Peggy Carter, and she's not even that good. No. I just don't. I'm not interested in Emily Van Camp as Sharon Carter. Just with Winter Soldier, it was a game changer, and it was doing espionage in a different way, because I'm not a James Bond fan. Like, I don't do spy films, but I thoroughly enjoyed the aspect of that. Who are you clicking at?
No, I thought I saw the cat. That's all. So I was just trying to.
Did someone see you randomly clicking like you're ready to break out a dance?
No, sorry. I was just trying to make sure she didn't come in and distract. That's all, and destroy. But what I was going to say as well with the Game Changer as well, this is the first time where I know we had some big actors do some big roles, but this we had Hollywood royalty in Winter Soldier as well with Robert Redford. Would you ever imagine having someone with the kit like say the back catalogue and like say the credentials that Robert Redford has in a Marvel film?
Not the acting chops on that guy is amazing. He said he did it for his grandchildren.
Yeah, which I love.
And
that
I think
about
I think a lot of older actors do that. Michael Douglas is exactly the same. When it comes to casting, Marvel get it right so good, and I love the fact that Michael Douglas is Hank Pym. I thought it was a genius idea. But no, all the older actors do it for their kids or their grandkids. Like they want to be a part of it because they know what it means. And I know the likes of Martin Scorsese has come out and give his opinion on comic book movies. Yeah. But there is a market there. Yeah. And it's aimed at people like me and you, because not me in particular, because this isn't something I've been into my whole life, but self, my husband, and more other people. This is like you're getting to see real life, what you imagined in your head as a kid.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like I say, people always look at us, and when I chat with them and say I get emotional during these films as well, because they take us back to when I was a kid and believing that, like I say, I get seeing Christopher Reeves flying when you believed a man could fly. I know it's not Marvel, but seeing Superman on the big screen or even on the TV was huge. And again, after reading it from the page and using your imagination, thinking it's escapism. It takes you out of what's going on in the world, and it just makes you feel like anything can happen. And that, as cheesy as that sounds, I'm excited. It makes us excited again, and like that's what movies in general do to me. And that's what I love about it, and I'll always be, like say, till I'm old like me old rocking chair and stuff, I'll always be a fan of movies and how it affects us. But yeah, like I say, I thought this was going to be in your pick. Like I say, I knew Cap was going to be in there somehow. I just didn't know whether it was going to be 1, 2, 3.
No, I had to go with Winter Soldier. With it being, we had no intention of watching it at all. I really didn't, and because of the after effect of Thor 2 and Iron Man 3, we were really done with this. Yeah. And then we had nothing else to watch. Got it up and gripped from start to finish, and it was like this is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
And it's just, I went hard, like I really did. After I finished watching this, I'm then picking up Ed Brubaker's Winter Soldier, and if you've ever read Ed Brubaker's Winter Soldier, it's a masterpiece, like complete masterpiece. And then I'm picking up Civil War, and anything to do with Cap, I'm just deep diving it, like, and this is what I was like in the beginning when I was watching these films. I was like, the minute it was over, I'm on Wikipedia and I'm like, right, which one am I picking up? I need to know which one am I picking up next. And I read a lot.
Cool. So I'm going to move on to my next pick now, just because, like I said, I like that one. Like I say, I'm going to go with one probably you wouldn't have been able to predict now, because I think a lot of these ones we're going to have very similar taste to, but this one. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, but to me, this has the best bad guy in any of the Marvel films so far. I know Thanos is the ultimate, but again, to me, on a human level, he was amazing and not scary, but his views, it's hard to argue with them. Again, and his reasoning. So it was 2018, Black Panther.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I would not have thought that would be on your list.
I absolutely was blown away, and Michael B. Jordan absolutely smashes it out of the park as Killmonger. Like I say, his views and reasons why he's wanting to take over Wakanda to help, well, not help, to gain, take back what he feels rightly belongs to people of his culture, which again, with everything that's gone on, especially in the last 2 years, with everything that's gone on in America and like over in the UK as well, you can't argue against it, really.
No, and at all.
And everything, like, sorry to cut in there.
No, it's fine.
Just love, again, I know it sounds really weird, it's a lovely film, like, full of family, full of friends and people who actually you can feel the love in this film as well.
Yeah,
going down from the cast, from everyone who's in it. Like, again, the great Chadwick Boseman, which unfortunately we'll not see again in a Black Panther outfit. He absolutely smashes it. And again, we were lucky enough to have 2 episodes of What If, where if you've seen it, like, say where T'Challa takes Star-Lord's role, it takes you on a roller coaster, and it's so emotional at the end. And again, I did have a tear watching it.
I absolutely bawled my eyes out to think that T'Challa as Star-Lord made the universe and the people in it better.
Yeah,
you know, and because that's the kind of person and infectious energy that he gives out is just nothing but kindness, and that's all it took to make, you know, what's his name? I can't think of his name.
Thanos.
Rooker's character.
Oh
God, yeah, Thanos. Like, he turned Thanos around because he's that good. But it was beautiful. It was such, like, I don't think it was meant to go down that way of a tribute, but it was such a tribute to the man who graced us, even just for a couple of films with that character. I get really emotional thinking about him because it is so sad. And it's not just the selfish part that, well, you know, we've lost a Black Panther now. Who gives a shit? Like, he was a young man who worked while he was going through probably the worst time of his life. You can see, there's an interview, actually, someone put it online, where you can see him in pain while he's sitting with all the rest of the Avengers, and Paul Bettany just looks over to him and says, "Are you okay?" And he just yawns and he's exhausted, but he did it because that was the kind of guy he was. He was committed, and I do like Black Panther. I just had more on the list that
no, certainly.
I get what you mean. It was, and at the time, it just, the timing of it was perfect. the response that came out of America alone,
Mhm.
because I think this is
This was
they
the film
needed
that
it.
this is the film that came out that changed. Not to say that it's changed it for everyone, but give the black culture. Don't know if I said that right.
I know.
A hero to cheer for that, because, like I said, predominantly, like I say, a lot of the heroes since then or before that had been, like I say, white or Caucasian. This one came out. It was similar to when Wonder Woman came out for a lot of the female population. It was like give someone to get a hold of, or get someone like kids involved as well. And again, if we're going to talk about iconic scenes and stuff that we love, there's nothing more iconic than Killmonger walking in that throne room and just saying to Angela Bassett, "Hey, Annie." That is just absolutely breathtaking.
That woman is beautiful as well. That woman does not age. She is just timeless. The casting in this, though, is absolutely perfect. I mean, you've got Nikita, oh my God, I know her name.
Yeah. Latita Nyong'o, Daniel Guriri Oko, who also plays Michonne in...
Denai Guerrera.
Yeah. I'm going to get a lot of names wrong here. Latita
yes,
Wright.
My pronunciation alone is absolutely horrendous, but I know Denai Guerrera, because obviously she's Michonne in
The
Walking Dead. Lupita Nyong'o, that's how you say it.
Yeah. And like I say, even the guy Winston Duke who played M'Baku is absolutely amazing, because he's a bit of a dick, but he's a lovable dick.
The fact that he turned around and was like, "We will eat your babies." Yeah, man, we're just vegetarians. And I was like, yes.
But even the supporting cast, like the little characters, like Forrest Whitaker in it, was absolutely had a brilliant role.
Yeah.
Andy Serkis as Claw was absolutely hilarious and amazing. Brilliant. And even Martin Freeman doing the dodgiest American accent I've heard since in a while. But he was still entertaining to do. But all elements...
I feel as English people, we need to apologise for Martin Freeman.
Oh, don't. He's a national treasure. His accent's not the best, but I think he played a good role in that. But it was the first introduction of Wakanda and the whole vibranium thing as well, getting like known where that came from and showing what it can do, and taking the Marvel Universe to a next level now. Yeah. That's the important thing. And I am excited for, like I say, the sequel Wakanda Forever, which I'm hoping to go down the route of, like I say, giving Shuri the outfit. That would be absolutely up my street.
I'm devastated that within the MCU, Shuri is not going to go brain to brain with Tony Stark.
True.
Devastated.
But
I would have loved to have seen that, especially when she talks about nanotech, like it's an old technology, when Tony is literally just been working on nanotech for his suits. And I'm like, I wanted them to go head to head, and it's not going to happen now, and I'm gutted.
We are getting some element of Iron, though, because supposedly in Wakanda Forever, we are going to get the debut of Ironheart.
Riri Williams.
Yes.
I remember when Riri was first introduced, it was only a few years ago, I read a couple of her issues. She's very sassy, from what I remember.
Yes. It's going to be an interesting tale. It's going to be a gangster Iron Man, shall we say?
I think she's a lot more humbled than Tony ever was.
Fuck, who is it? To be fair, we had an argument the other day. Who's got the biggest ego, Doctor Strange or Tony Stark?
Both match each other, really.
Yeah,
they really do. I forgot Riri Williams is coming into it. That's exciting. But Black Panther was just, it was very emotional watching all of, not just the movie itself, but watching all the lead up to it, and then the aftermath of it, and seeing people, the Black community finally getting their superhero, and I'm like, I felt every bit of what, like, I would never be able to understand what they go through in the slightest. Yeah. But I got
a taste of what, like I said, again, your own experience of being introduced to the comic world as your aspect, your experience that way. Again, they were going through it the same way with their new hero. And
Mhm.
again, I don't think I'm wrong with this, but I'm going to make a statement. This was the first time the Academy Awards actually took a superhero, a
Notice.
Marvel,
Yeah.
take notice of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Which, again, hopefully may it continue. But yes, that was mine.
It was like when Jordan Peele got nominated and won for a horror film.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the level, like the Black Panther finally gets, like, we get like the comic book industry get a recognition through that movie.
Yeah, take us seriously, bitch.
Yes, we mean business.
So yes, so that's my pick.
Well, I'm gonna go into my next one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with this one because it kind of, you mentioned with Black Panther, it's very family orientated, and my next one, I get that there's such a family aspect to it, that I couldn't quite decide which one to go with. Did I go with one or did I go with two?
Mm-hmm.
It's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Cool. So the first one, did you pick?
I picked the first one because that was where the love affair started. When I remember the lead up to this, and everyone's going, "Who the fuck's the Guardians of the Galaxy? Yeah. Why they're bringing in a team that no one's heard of?" And I thought to myself, I'm not going to look into this yet. Yeah. I'm going to see what this brings first. Then I'm gonna do me investigations on it. And we watched it. It was a summer. I think it was a summer movie. And we watched it on a very bad copy.
Oh dear. So just to cut in before you go any further, it is on my list as well.
Oh wow, brilliant.
So brilliant. Another joint pick there. I agree completely with what you said. It would come out of such a left field when you were thinking about all the other Marvel films and properties that they could have used, and they announced Guardians of the Galaxy. I think I don't have a fucking Scooby who Guardians of the Galaxy is. All we saw was that poster where they had a rat-looking raccoon and a dodgy person wearing a dodgy mask and a tree. And I was like,
a tree?
What the fuck? Are we watching Lord of the Rings in space? But yes, from the moment that you saw the trailer, that was the big thing. And when you saw the film, wow. Again, just to reiterate, this film has the best soundtrack in any Marvel film. Hands down. And
hands down.
It's just they played out. And James Gunn, I don't think anyone else could have done it, going back to like the films he's made since then, with him doing the Suicide Squad as well, which had a very Guardians of the Galaxy feel, just a bit more grotesque, shall we say.
If James Gunn is going to do a film that has a massive ensemble of a cast, you always are gonna look at it like, well, he's just doing Guardians of the Galaxy again. But he's just very good with larger casts.
Yes,
shall we say? We watched this on a very, very bad copy, but it didn't stop how I felt about it. And I remember I went to Dalton Park one day, and they used to have a very a cheap DVD and CD shop.
Yeah.
And I remember going in there and picking it straight, on day release, picking it straight up. That and Gears of War 2. But I just remember picking up, and I had to watch it straight away. I was so invested in these people. Rocket is one of my favorite characters, not just on the screen, but in comics. I absolutely adore him. I remember reading Captain Marvel, and he was in it, and he's the one who identifies a frickin', which is the cat. When he meets well, it's not Goose, it's a what's it called?
It's a Flurgan, I think.
Flurgan or something like that. And Goose in the comics is actually called Chewie. And when he meets Chewie, he goes absolutely nuts. Like, he's ready for murder. Like, he's going to murder this cat. And it was just so funny. And he's always my top pick on Marvel vs. Capcom. I've always picked Rocket Raccoon. Always. But
down to the casting as well. Like I say, when you say Rocket Raccoon, again, is it Bradley Cooper?
Who the hell said, "Let's get Bradley Cooper to do a voice," I could not tell.
No.
That was him. I
Yeah.
still can't.
But again, it's such a big actor, and like say, again, very pretty boy face. You could think of him as a big role in the Marvel universe, but he got to play Rocket, and I don't think you would have it any other way. I think that is,
No.
like say, perfect, because as the characters go, as the films have evolved, and like we've seen more of Rocket, he has the one that's become, and that sounds stupid, more human in a way.
I love watching Rocket, his development, because obviously he's so hardened because of what he's been through. But at the same time, he's a bit of a softie.
Yeah.
It doesn't take him long to break when it comes down to like he's so like in Guardians of the Galaxy, he's ready to leave Quill. Like Quill's gone off to go and save Gamora, and he's ready to leave. And it's Groot who kind of like, well, they're our friends, and he was going, "They're not my friends," and he's like, "Well, they are your friends," and he was like, "We don't have any friends," and he went, "You have friends." And when he realizes, he changes, but he does that quite a lot. Like the chemistry between him and Thor. I never expected it. Never expected it. Didn't know I wanted it. Now I want more.
Yeah.
I want to see more of them together because they work so well. He's a softie who portrays himself as a bit of a hard case. You see that in the second one.
But that's the thing. You can put Rocket with any character. Like say, Rocket and Bucky is hilarious. Rocket with like say, the Hulk is a good team as well. Everything like say you see him with he is gold, and I think Marvel have hit on the perfect foil for a lot of things. And again, if they are going to do the story arc where you find out about Rocket's creator in Guardians 3, that would be something that I would hold quite close to my heart. But again, even having Vin Diesel doing the voice of Groot, who just says I am Groot, which again is a good joke within Marvel Universe, which is done really well.
Oh yeah, definitely. And what was I going to say? It was about Groot. I love the end scene where Groot sacrifices himself. I cry my eyes out when he says, "We are Groot." But I love the fact that it wasn't over, and he came back, but he comes back younger. But apparently he doesn't know that he went through that. He loses all of his memories, so he's a brand new shiny twig.
Oh,
he's a new Groot. And I was so sad at the fact that I loved the idea of it, but then I was sad that I was like, oh my God, he's not going to know that he made that big sacrifice.
Sometimes you don't need to know. That's what a hero is, though. That's why we love these characters.
That's very true. That's true. I love it. The colours, I mean, even in the second one, when it comes to the colour and the scenery is just absolutely stunning. But it was the same with the first one. It's a beautiful film of friends and family, and I have nothing but high regards for this one.
Yeah, and again, going back to like say what Marvel do well, they normally do have interesting bad guys. Like the bad guy in this, is it Lee Pearce?
Yeah, Lee Pearce is Ronan the Conqueror.
Conqueror, that's the one. But
he's a conqueror.
He's such an interesting character in this as well, and you can feel the anger and just pure rage. And then you see the Nova Corps as well. I know we thought we were going to get Nova, but having them aspects in it as well was quite a good touch. But
I loved the fact that we even got the Nova Corps in there. Like, it wasn't, I never expected it in the slightest at all. And Glenn Close.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that was bold. And the guy who plays I can't pronounce his name at all, but he's the one who goes, "What a bunch of a-holes."
He was the ticker. He was in Shaun of the Dead. Yeah.
He's also the voice of Darth Maul.
Right.
In Phantom Menace, and that's what I love him for. And he's in Shaun of the Dead as well. I do love that guy a lot. And when I saw him on screen, but then obviously when he does a big sacrifice too, I was like, oh my God, we're not going to see him again. That's so sad.
But what I have to give a big shout out for, the big surprise of the film for me, and also from the franchise, Dave Bautista as Drax.
Whoa. whoa.
Yeah.
Did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Did not expect to get the level of how could we not talk about Guardians and I could not bring up Dave Bautista, because wow.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of Bautista in wrestling. He was
No.
a one note pony. Like there was nothing interesting. His mic skills were basic. They weren't great. And then he plays Drax.
Yeah. And he does it in a way where he does it in a lot of different ways where you care, he annoys you. The frankness as well, because he's raised out that they don't get sarcasm, everything they say. Like even the joke said, it won't go over my head, I will catch it with my lightning fast. With my reflexes. Even that element, like done so dry. But again, same with like Rocket, his journey as well. Like I said, his story he tells through that film. Like I say, he wants to do it to revenge his family that he lost because of Thanos. And again, I wasn't seeing it when they announced the casting. Again, I should never doubt Marvel when it comes to casting, because he thought, is it going to work? Is it not? But it totally smashed it for me. And again, I know I don't like his private life, his personal life that well. Chris Pratt is an amazing Star-Lord, and my opinion has changed of him over the last few years. But you're right, he does play a really good Star-Lord. Even though T'Challa was better. Well, T'Challa saved the universe. He just kind of made it annoying a little bit. But what I loved
and he ruined it.
Yeah.
He ruined it, Paul. Let's not forget what happened in Infinity War.
Yeah.
It's all his fault.
True. But what I do like about it as well was the fact that it was saved by a dance-off inspired by Kevin Bacon in Footloose. Don't ever forget that.
Have you seen the bloopers of that?
No.
Oh my God, it's so funny. So he obviously starts doing his dance off, and then Lee Pace starts doing it as well. And watching Lee Pace dance as Ronan is just absolutely brilliant. And again, for Guardians, it was another level to Marvel.
Yeah.
They were adding these levels on without you even.
So yeah, it was the first one where they went out to space. So this was brought the like say the spatial aspect. I know we had Thor, but we didn't really see like what the galaxy was like, shall we say? No, it sounds cheesy.
Asgard wasn't a primary place in Thor. You got to see it, but it wasn't primary to where you got introduced to the different parts of the galaxy because of the Guardians, and it was the same with the second one. Now I am now since a reader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they do come into Captain Marvel's story quite a lot. And I always remember reading about Peter's dad, because Peter's dad is not Egon the Living Planet.
No,
he's a guy called Jason, J apostrophe son, and he is a dick, a massive dictator of a dick. And I was really pleased that they weren't going to go down that route. And do it that way, because it then becomes incredibly political, and I didn't feel that's what we needed from the Guardians. We want adventure, and we want fun, and we want to see them on screen all the time. So I was so happy they didn't go down his actual daddy route, and we got Kurt Russell. So
no, certainly, like I say, as a whole, I think Guardians is up there with one of the top, like not just Marvel films, but actual comic book films, I would say.
Totally agree.
Totally changed the game and the landscape on how we went forward as well, as we saw with like even like the newer like the newer ones like Infinity War. I don't think we would have got there if the Guardians didn't work as well as it did. But yes, so that was going to be my third pick as well. So that was your second pick. Is that right?
Can't remember.
So we've had a joint. No, it was your third as well. So we've had Iron Man together. I've talked Black Panther. You've talked Civil War, not Civil War.
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, and then we've done Guardians. So that was our third pick. So
No, go on.
What I was going to suggest, like I say, if you've got nothing else to say on the Guardians, I was going to move on to my next pick, which I do think that you will have as well.
Go for it.
Thor Ragnarok.
No, I do not.
What?
I do not.
How do you not have Thor Ragnarok, the best Marvel film?
Because I have two others that take its place. I get it. And if I had if I had one more pick,
Right.
It would have been in there because it was another game changer.
Mm-hmm.
We were sick to shit of Thor films.
Yeah.
And then Taika Waititi went, meh, have this.
Yeah. So again, this is probably why I love this film. This was such a homage to all 80s aspects, 80 films put together. Like the soundtrack, again, another great soundtrack. Not as quite as good as Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's still up there with the soundtrack. But to make such a boring character in Thor, and Thor is boring. If you look at his comics, he isn't that most interesting character out there.
Might not be then, but Jason Aaron has been writing Thor for the last few years. And Old Man Thor. I was about to say Old Man Thor. Oh my God. But yeah, Jason Aaron has been writing Thor for the last few years. And if I could remember the names of the comics, I would tell you them. And I cannot. I do have them in another room. Oh, it's going to annoy us now, but I'm not going to look it up. But yeah, he's been writing them for that. And honestly, unreal. Like, he's made Thor as interesting as he is in the movies. It's really good. Jason Aaron, pick it up.
But what I was going to say regarding that, because I know Chris Hemsworth himself had said he was bored of doing Thor. I don't think he would have done any more Thor films if this one didn't come about. And he showed off what he can actually do, because he wasn't just like a man that looked. Because I know he was quite funny in Answer the Call, the Ghostbusters. That wasn't the best film, but he was actually a standout comedy role in that. I actually quite liked him in it. But as Thor, this is his turning point. This is his like Valhalla, shall we say? But everything was interesting about this. It's about flipping the script and saying, right, what can we do to change up? Thor? It's basically they cut his hair, they made him look normal-ish. They took the piss out of him quite heavily when he was keep referring to himself as the strongest Avenger, and that whole aspect. And again, I know they took elements of another great comic book to try and finally get it in film, because I know there was problems with the rights of doing Planet Hulk. So this is their way around it and getting them elements in, and they've done it in a way which worked so well. And the Hulk is a standout performer in this as well. And again, going back to when we talked about standout iconic moments in the Marvel Universe, seeing Thor in the pit and having, like say, the Hulk across from him, and you're thinking there's going to be this big fight, and Thor just goes, "That's my friend from work," and you see Loki's face in as well, and you think, oh, just comedy chops that you don't even expect from such, like I say, aspect, but absolutely brilliant. Again, the colours used in this, outstanding.
Amazing. Absolutely unreal. Like, Sakaar is just beautiful. I mean, Jeff Goldblum is the Grandmaster. Oh my God, amazing. Taika is just so good at writing subtle comedy. Like, and it's not like belly laughing funny. It's just subtle, and the whole get help. Yeah. Like, and just seeing that other layer of the brothers as well. Like, and especially in the lift where like Thor says, he said something like Loki along the lines of like, "You must be disappointed," or "Did you grieve," or something like that. And he was like, "I was heartbroken." Like, I mourned you, like, and you can just tell he's totally done. Like, he understands Loki's never going to change, but it doesn't stop him from not loving him. Yeah. And that, and the Revengers. I want to see the Revengers. Yes. I want to see the Revengers. I thought Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie was unreal. I liked how they introduced the Valkyrie through her, because it is, I think it's a.
I'm just going to turn the light on. 2 seconds.
You are getting very dark. Way, and there is light.
Sorry.
He can't hear me sing.
I'm not cutting that out, so don't worry.
I was just thinking about how you've got light on.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know, the Valkyrie's like not massively important, but a very good part of Asgard that like is interesting to know about.
Yeah.
But
I can see elements
character
is Korg.
Oh,
yeah, Korg. I think you were going to say. Yeah, Taika Waititi is Korg. When they're throwing stuff in and he's kicking off saying, Piss off, ghost.
Piss off, ghost. Oh,
Yeah.
and the whole, what you got thrown off by a hammer? What, the hammer threw you off?
You know, you got tossed off by a hammer. You tossed a hammer.
I just absolutely love him, and I love the fact that we got to see him again in it was Infinity War.
It was
Endgame.
Yeah,
Endgame.
I think he's going to be in Love and Thunder as well. I've heard, so we're going to see more Cole going forward. But I think again, the person who I missed off, who literally was the standout character, who made the film absolutely was the heartbeat. Kate Blanchett, Helena.
Oh my God, Hella. Hella, like, Bad Guys. She's up there. She was amazing. The look of her, how she looked, how she perceived herself. I was in it. And oh my God, Carl Urban in scored. Wow. Like, I love Carl Urban so much, and the fact that he played that, like, the whole, I call this Tex an ass. Like, he's just so good. He's so good. And the soundtrack, you're right, like, and listening to Led Zeppelin is the immigration song. Is that what it's called? I'm not
immigration song. Yeah.
Listening to that while Thor is
on the
in
Rainbow
his fight
Bridge.
is wow, amazing.
But as I said, going back to what you said about Robert Redford doing it for his grandkids, I'm sure Kate Blanchett did this film for her kids as well. She said her kids have been bugging her to be in a Marvel film, and it was just perfect casting. And this is a time where I know we got more Loki in the Dark World, but this is where we actually saw. I think we fell in love with Loki a little bit more in Ragnarok.
Massively.
This is where Tom Hiddleston just become that lovable scamp that we didn't want to hate and never wanted to go away a little bit, and hopefully he never will.
It was the sadness when I realised that when he, in his TV show, and he takes the Tesseract, and when he goes through that portal, and I'm like, he's never going to know that he made up with his brother.
Yeah.
He's never going to know that he was a hero, that he actually did something right. But obviously, we got that evolution through the TV show. He got there eventually. So to me, it was always going to happen for him. Once I watched the show, I was like, oh, thank God. What was I going to say? I can't remember.
No, it's
I'm
fine.
getting excited.
Nerding out to that, but like I say, that's why I love these films. It gets you excited. It brings back little things you might not have noticed the first way around. But as you said before, the casting and everything with the Marvel Universe hasn't went wrong, and with Thor Ragnarok, everything, like I say, every dot was perfect. And how they changed it up by even destroying Asgard and making them going out, and then giving us the first steps towards Infinity War, when we saw that ship at the end. You knew what was going to happen, but I would take that. That's one up there with one of my favourite Marvel films. I've left my favourite to last, but that's more personal for anything else. But like I say, I think I'm happy. Like I say, with that. So yes, so that was mine. Thor Ragnarok.
Good choice. My next one might shock you a little bit, because I don't know. I think there's so many more that you could choose other than this, but this was the one that really, I think it cemented where I was at as a Marvel fan. It's the Avengers.
Right. Okay.
It's the first Avengers. I still cry my eyes out to this day when all of them when you see the camera angle panning round and they're all there. I bawl my eyes out. I absolutely love nothing more than watching a group of friends develop a friendship, and this is the starting point. And it's not perfect, which tends to happen in large groups of people, like Iron Man, Tony and Steve do not like each other. It's very evident, it's like when you've gotten into the mythos of Marvel, and you see, you've watched Peggy Carter, and you don't realize like Howard Stark was very, very connected to Steve. Even after he passed, like, he still held responsibility for
Mhm.
for Steve, and then knowing that him and his son don't get on, it's like, oh man, like this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
I do love it. I love
No.
the.
I knew this was going to be one of your choices. Like, it is up there. Like when you get the emotional side of things,
Mhm.
like even like the wordplay between Stephen and Tony is amazing, and the callbacks they do at later films. It's like when Steve says to Tony, "You're not the type of person to lay down on a grenade or to lie on the barbed wire," and he goes, "No, I'll find a way around. I'll cut through it. I'll use a smart way." And it gets in putting the suit. And he's going, "Well, the only thing that come out of you was out of a bottle that my dad created," and stuff like that. So it's you can tell there's this respect there, but it's not grown there yet. It's kind of like the egos are too big to let the other one.
It's the two different sides, two different worlds though, because like Cap is a traditionalist. He thinks and then he acts, and it's all him. Whereas Tony is the science part, where he thinks, he creates, then he acts, and it's just not Cap's world, and that's not Tony's world, and they just clash like so much. But in Civil War, there's so much hurt on Tony's side because he was like there is something there between them, and he knows it, and the hurt, and it goes even deeper when you go into Endgame, and Tony comes back, and their friendship, it means something to him, and he's but he doesn't know how to show it properly. And Cap's exactly the same. They're very similar in some ways, but very different at the same time. I want to see just there was a part in Age of Ultron that I loved so much, and I'd never wanted the scene to end, and they were literally just sitting around with Thor's hammer, and I just want to see them talking and them having a drink together, and like just the build, like the rapport and the conversations, and you don't get a lot of it, but when it happens, for me, I'm like, I'm totally like invested. Like I'm suck it in straight away.
No, like I say, it is a love affair, like a love letter to all Marvel type aspects that the Avengers is. When the way they did it, I thought it was a stroke of genius bringing Loki back as the main bad guy and alluding to the bigger threat that was coming with Thanos. Even though, like I said, they changed his look a few times before we got Thanos at the end, which was always interesting. But it's that whole journey that they started us on, and they thought, can this be made? Is it going to be too much? And they did it just right. Again, there was oversappy at times, like the whole when they're in Germany and they're saying, "Oh, I will not kneel for anyone, a man like you," and stuff. Again, it's cheese, but it borders on that line when it's too much. But as you said, the iconic moment for me in that one is basically the big circle where they're going round, even though they cut out Wasp, who was originally supposed to be part of the original film, but got cut out. But we got it back later. We
got there eventually, and it worked out perfectly. And that scene with the old man, and then Cap comes in and was saying, the last time I was in Germany, and someone asked me to kneel, it didn't end well, and I was like, "Oh, you get him." And the scene with the scene. So this is how great Marvel are at playbacks. The scene in the park with the three of them fighting, Thor, Iron Man, and Cap, comes back into play at Endgame when they face Thanos as the three of them. It is absolutely perfect. It gives me massive chills.
The only aspect I took us away a little bit out of it when you see Cap and Tony and Thor fighting in the park. I'm sorry, but Thor would absolutely demolish. It was too much of an equal fight for my liking. But
does
again,
mother know you weareth her drapes?
Yes, point break.
Absolutely love it. So the Avengers is my next pick, and I can't wait to go on my last pick, even though I've mentioned it so many times already.
But again, just to go back to the Avengers as well, like every beat in it, like the bits I got from it that meant more to me was the little things, like the waitress at the end thanking Cap for saving her. And like seeing the little kids drawing like pictures, and like Mark Ruffalo's comments, like saying, "Oh, what's your secret? I'm always angry," which was a good turning point. And again, how can we not talk about, like, say, the big bit at the end where Tony and Loki come face to face for the first time? He's good. I've got an army. We've got a Hulk.
And then you have the amazing smash of Loki on the floor, which still makes me, even though I've seen it a million times and it really isn't that funny, still makes us laugh. Yeah. I still get a giggle out of it.
And even the Hulk punching Thor in the subway, you know it's coming, and it's just.
Also, while you mentioned the Hulk, this is the first time we see Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Who in their right mind looked at Mark Ruffalo and went, "Yeah, you're the Hulk." But it works because he's a brilliant Bruce Banner.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the elements that does get missed out when you think of the Hulk. Is you have to have a good Bruce to be thing, and there's a groundness to him as well, a niceness. Where if you met Bruce Banner, you could never find him like a threat or anything intolerable. I know we got like Smart Hulk or Professor Hulk later on, which was quite an interesting one.
Genius.
But it's just bringing that element. But Mark Ruffalo was an inspired choice. Again, replacing errors that Marvel didn't make. I think it was another company, the Universal, who did Edward Norton one, which I don't dislike too much, but I don't like him as Bruce Banner, if that makes sense. He's too weaselly.
I don't even put it in the timeline anymore. It's not even there. It never happened. And it's not for any other reason than it's just not a good movie at all. Like, I didn't mind Edward Norton as Bruce. It's not great. It really isn't. But I'm so glad they still use the guy who plays Thunderbolt Ross back in later on. I thought that was really, really good. But yeah, that's my pick, The Avengers.
Cool. So I'm going with my ultimate Marvel film now. Me, when I was growing up, like I say, as I said, I've always been a DC fan. I was always drawn to the dark side, like Batman and stuff like that. But there was always one character within the Marvel universe that was, like, I would say, the shining light that kind of made I could enjoy and just, like, say, every element or every type of incarnation that he's seen, I've always loved. I love the comics. I love the cartoon that came out. It's probably been the best PlayStation game that's ever been made. Just personal choice. But there's always been something lacking about the films that was brought out before the Marvel Universe. Like, there was 2 good ones and a really bad one. And then they redone it again with 2 okay-ish ones, which never really hit the home. This one,
where you going with this now?
Absolutely smashed it. Again, we've never had where we've had a good Spider-Man or a good Peter Parker. And when Tom Holland come on, he is Peter Parker, and I've forgotten about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, who again done different good roles and things, but the ultimate one for me, my ultimate Marvel film, and I do get emotional with this one because it brings us back so many years of love, and they've got it right, is Spider-Man Homecoming. And they didn't do it cheesily, and again, the casting, the bad guys, Michael Keane as the Vulture, which again you don't in the comics is such a cheesy and awful bad guy. It's basically an old man that steals people's youths to get younger again, who flies as a vulture, which again sounds absolutely horrendous. But the way they did this, and they've done it so well. They changed characters which I thought couldn't be changed, like MJ is not now Mary Jane Watson.
I love that, and I love Zendaya as well. I think she was a great choice. Them two go, their two chemistry is amazing. And if the internet is true, I see it. Like I see them two working very well together.
Yes, but going back to the ultimate Spider-Man, which is Tom Holland. Again, I will argue with anyone to this day who says he is not the best Spider-Man, because as Peter Parker, he's brilliant. He's nerdy, he's awkward, he's funny, he's intelligent. And as Spider-Man, he gives him that confidence, and he's cheeky, and that's what we've always lacked in Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man in the comics, even like say the animated TV show, what we had for a few seasons that's on Disney Plus now, The Amazing Spider-Man, I recommend go and watch.
Yeah, and always says it's really good.
As Spider-Man, he always has this cheeky, almost cocksure of himself attitude. And as this now, we are getting that. And I know we had these his turning point where he doubted himself in the later Spider-Man film because he lost his mentor in Tony Stark. But in Spider-Man Homecoming, he was so sure of himself, even though he was getting used to his powers. Because you have to admit, he's still at high school, he's still learning. And how they try to make him the neighborhood Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man was perfect. And that hilarious part was when he's standing on the building and that guy at the picture, hey, Spider-Man, do a backflip. And he's like, and they go, yeah, we love you, Spidey. It's just like quirks like that just makes you think this is his friend. And out of all the outfits, again, I know they have changed things. I'm so glad they went with the original, and because it's iconic. You think Spider-Man, you know it's red and blue and how he looks, and you can change it elements, but as long as you keep that aspect. And I like it how they've done a Tony Stark element to the suit.
Is that a new TED Talk?
Yeah,
the Tony Talk.
It's the new Tony Stank. So. But like I say, when I watch this film from start to finish, I'm smiling. And even though the main Aunt May hot and didn't create her as an old woman, and I'm so happy we didn't have to see Uncle Ben die again because we didn't need it.
We didn't need to. I think that was perfect in Civil War when he's just about to start telling the story and Tony just cuts him off and goes, don't need to know that.
Yeah.
I love the vulnerability side of side of Tom Holland's Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Especially when he's face to face with Tony in Civil War and he says, I wasn't a good athlete then. I'm not a good athlete. I shouldn't be a good athlete now. And you can see it's like he's got these powers that would make him the person that he probably thought he wanted to be, and he can't do it. And it's just,
it's always the message: with great power comes great responsibility, and it does ring true without even having to see it through the film.
Yeah,
he just embodies it, which again, I still can't believe we've seen that, and now we're getting more, and hopefully, like I say, Sony and Disney don't fuck up and have a bitch fight again. Like
I said when we did the trailer reaction, money talks, and money acts, and money owns, and they are making the money that relationship will be solid. It will, because it's making the money.
True, and when you think, like I say, when this matures, because I'm hoping the stories are correct that we've still got Tom Holland for another 6 Spider-Man films in his contracts, which is exciting. I know potentially, like I say, I could have read that wrong, but I'm hoping to believe that's true, because in the comics as well, he is one of the most powerful Avengers. Like I say, he's as strong as Cap. He's as intelligent as Tony. And again, with my argument is DC has the better villains until you come to Spider-Man, and he has the more Spider-Man out of the Marvel universe has the more interesting villains.
And we haven't even seen half of them.
No, we're going to see a lot of them in the next. Yep, we're going to see a lot of them in the new film, I guess, or a lot of the old ones in the new. But like things that I'm excited to see, and hopefully we'll see. Like I want to see a Kraven the Hunter. I want to see that element. Like I said, I thought we were getting that, but apparently not. I want to see a crossover and see Spider-Man versus Venom. I want to see, now we've got a good Venom, and it's not going to be the emo Spider show. I wouldn't mind seeing Tom Holland wear the black outfit, get the symbiote for a little bit. That would be quite interesting. And the elements are coming. Like I say, we're getting Morpheus as well, the human vampire. That leads into Spider-Man. And again, one of the two characters that we could see Spider-Man combining with, which again, if it does, it's going to take all my money. One, Deadpool. Deadpool now can be in a Spider-Man film.
And the fact that we've had a brilliant run recently of Deadpool and Spider-Man working together, there'll be creative input around how you could put that on screen. Because I think Tom Holland and Ryan Reynolds together,
that is just money. That's
perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Also, as well, the last one I was just going to mention before we move on to your last pick, the character that Spider-Man introduced to us, and we are begging for in the MCU, the Punisher.
swear to God, if like, I'm not a fan of the Punisher. Didn't agree with what he stood for. I was never interested in Civil War. I just wanted Cap to kill him or Daredevil. I wanted him gone. He was a pain in the arse. But then you get Daredevil season 2.
Yeah.
John Bernthal breaks in as Frank Castle, and holy shit, it changed the game for me when it comes to the Punisher.
Yeah.
And I want to see that now with John in the MCU, and that has to happen. Has to.
And Spider-Man is the
missed opportunity.
Yeah, and Spider-Man is the perfect gateway for that, because, like I say, in the comics, he was the person who introduced the Punisher, that started that whole run, and then the Punisher becoming a character as the anti-hero. I would love to see the Punisher first trying to take on Spider-Man, or doing something that Spider-Man doesn't agree with, and that is the combination. I think that would be the element, because what we got in Daredevil season 2 was what pretty much would have happened in what we got in the comics first round with Spider-Man as the Daredevil role. So that would have been, like I said, interesting for me. And again, if the rumours are true, seeing Charlie Cox being Matt Murdock in Spider-Man 3, fuck yeah, bring that shit on.
Yeah, bring it on. Bring the best parts of the Defenders into the MCU and do it now. Just do not bring Iron Fist in. Do not bring, and if you are, recast, because that is not what I was expecting. But I'm not going to go into rants. This is not a bad ranting podcast. So my last one is not everyone's favorite. And it ended the Infinity Saga. It's Endgame.
Yeah.
I was going to go on a massive build up there, and then I was like, it ended. It's like it ended. It's when it comes down to best moments in Marvel movies.
Yeah.
This has some. There's one in Infinity War that makes me wish I lived in America to watch this, watch Infinity Wars and watch Endgame, because when Thor lands on Wakanda and shouts, "Bring me Thanos," and I want to scream the place down. And it's exactly the same in Endgame. There is so many points where I just want to cry and scream. And I still today, I can't watch the scene when at the end where you get all the Avengers, not just all the Avengers, everyone from everyone, and it all starts
even Howard the Duck's
on
there.
Your left. Exactly. And just seeing and then the starting point where Sam just goes on your left, and then but then it's T'Challa who's the first person out, and oh my god, it absolutely. And then hearing Avengers Assemble for the very first time in over 10 years, we've not heard him say that, and oh my god, I have got chills. I can feel my nose starting to get tingly, because it breaks us to see 10 years just there. I can't talk.
Oh no, I agree. I completely agree with you 100% what you're saying. Where it normally starts for me on that scene is not when he's saying "Hey, to your left." It's when Cap's beaten on the floor and he's like, "Right, pulls the shield, gets
he
up,
pulls it, and you can see the pain.
And you stand there, and again, it's a callback to the Infinity, like say the Gauntlet comic, where he actually says, "As long as one man stands in front of you, you'll never truly win." And that's when Thanos breaks his neck. So, that's in the comic.
The different outcome on this one, completely different outcome on this one. And I get it. It's the build up, because it's like it didn't matter. That Cap didn't have anyone. If he was going out, fighting, which is what I think to him was what he always imagined. And that scene is so powerful, because it's just it's pure. It's 10 years.
Yeah, it's pure,
of hard work,
and you know what it meant to the people. Like I say, and again with everything that goes through, like I said, there's a lot of fan service all the way throughout Endgame.
100%. But I am there for that fan service, like completely. The oh god, no, lost it. I've got so many things of Endgame running through my head. I've completely lost it.
No, that's fine. Like I said, the bit that gets me as well is when Cap proves he's worthy as well and picks up Mjolnir, and you knew it was coming. As soon as you saw the hammer come back into it and Thor getting go back, and then you see it getting picked up, you just thought, oh shit. And it was as magical and as amazing as you wanted it to be.
It's the fact that he just turns around and goes, I knew it.
Yeah, since we thought about it, like I say, Age of Ultron, we always knew he was going to be the one that would be able to do that. But again, the only thing, like I say, I know we've talked about it in a previous podcast, like I say, there's a lot of forced elements in this, which, again, didn't detract it for the film, but kind of didn't need to be. Like I say, the whole girl power thing, which was done, I think I mentioned as well, a lot better in The Mandalorian, the way they did it in their ending. But again, it's just elements like that where I think they went over the line, where it stopped it from being one of the best to just being great. Because to me, I always thought when I watched them back to back, I enjoy Infinity War better as a film. But Endgame has the better moments, the more emotional moments, like saying Tony hugging Peter for the first time. Peter's seeing Gamora again, a big emotional moment. Nebula finally becoming good and turning.
Becoming the Nebula that I want to see, because I've got a very massive soft spot for her. Tony's death scene is heartbreaking. It's not what it still makes me cry, but it's not what tipped me over the edge. What tips me over the edge is the end scene, the final scene when you finally see that Peggy got Steve and Steve got Peggy, and he got to live the best of both worlds. He got to have and save the world and be that side of him, but also then go and have his relationship with Peggy and have his life with Peggy, and I loved it. I know it wasn't everyone's cup of tea, and some of it, it can be quite questionable when it comes to the whole idea of time travel within that film. It did not matter to me. The fact that he got to her in the end was what I was looking for. And Sam getting the shield, Bucky not even didn't even cross his mind. Like, yes, it had to go to Sam. I love the movie in a whole, but the ending of it is probably what really makes it one of my favorites.
No, like I said, and again, it is the ultimate callback. We've mentioned it at the start, and I think it'll be a nice way to round up this segment of the podcast. It started with I Am Iron Man, and it finished with I Am Iron Man, and that was absolutely poetic justice. And again, I bawled because you knew it was coming. You saw his face as soon as he said I am inevitable, and even I said it, I went I am Iron Man, and it came out of my mouth before even thinking, and it just resonated so much. And it was just like, right, that's putting the stamp and saying this is how we've ended this saga.
We all had our suspicions that one of them was going to die. Because it had to be a sacrifice. There had to be a sacrifice, and who was going to do it? And I always said it's Cap. Cap's going to do it, because that's Cap's mentality. That's how he would think. But for it to be Tony was such a 180. I never saw it coming. I remember being in the cinema and just looking Carolyn dead in the eye and going, they're not doing this. They are not. And then I was like, oh my God, poor Carolyn, when we go to the cinema and watch these type of films, and because I can't react the way I want to by screaming, hollering, shouting and crying, Carolyn gets a good punch in the leg.
Bless her.
I literally, I remember when we saw Civil War, and I could see it coming, and I'm like, oh my God, Carolyn, he's going to go giant. He's going to go giant. Bang! Just punched her right in the leg.
No, but there's so many good elements. Like, and again, massive. The heartbreaking bits is like Pepper telling Tony it's okay. He's done his job, and also like I said, saying to Morgan, that little callback as well from the original when you see the hologram, I love you 3000. And she just wants a cheeseburger. And she just wants a cheeseburger.
Yeah, that's the other callback. And Happy being like, your dad liked cheeseburgers, and I'll get you that cheeseburger. Another callback where you had the kid from Iron Man 3 being at his funeral. I thought that was brilliant. And seeing them all at his funeral. Yeah. Just breaks me. And also making sure that Wanda and Clint, with that conversation they had, the Vision and Widow, because oh my God, we lose Black Widow in this movie. Like there's so much going on that I wanted just to talk about the last part, because that was the bit that that cemented how I felt. And do you know what? It was when it was over, I felt grief. I felt like I was going through a loss, because we had no idea what was happening with the MCU after this. Yeah, this was 10 years of movie making that we don't know if we're going to get that again. We don't know how that's going to be, and I felt lost at the time. I was like, well, what do I do now? Yeah, we're getting some interesting takes now from since then, which has again been absolutely brilliant to see. Like I say, I know we weren't really going to discuss it too much because we'll concentrate on the films, but going into the TV world and changing the landscape there, we've had the amazing WandaVision, the Winter Falcon and Winter Soldier, but again, it served a purpose to get. I feel they could have done an hour special for that. Yeah. And just to get you where you needed to be, but I get what they were trying to do. I really do. It just didn't. It didn't land, especially coming off the back of how amazing WandaVision was. Certainly. And then you've got Loki, which is just the fucking game changer. It's the change. So now at least we know where we're going to go. And again, I'm excited to see all the different elements. I know we had Black Widow, which just felt like a bit of an afterthought, which we've already discussed. I've seen Shang-Chi, so that's given me more elements to see where that's going to go, which I'm not going to, which I'm going to shut up about now because. No, it's fine. It's just mine. I was meant to go and see it today, but my plans got cancelled. But if you do want to hear us have any form of discussion on Shang-Chi and what that means for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, let us know in the comments or let us know on Facebook, because I'm more than happy to sit and talk about Marvel. But for the rest of my life. Well, I've got a bit more time off next week, so if you get to see it, we'll have a quick, not a quick run through, maybe not like a full podcast, but a mini-sode on that. But yes, but I hope you have enjoyed that. Like I say, I've really enjoyed talking about the Marvel Universe there. I know we could go on for a few hours, but I'm getting a little bit hungry now, I'm not going to lie. Me too. Sorry, I texted Ant earlier saying, can you put me tea in? I'm really hungry. No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought I could talk a lot more, but I get so emotional when it comes to Marvel, because I don't, like, it means everything to us. And I know that sounds really sad coming from, someone who's nearly 40, but it does, it has, I found comic book reading, Marvel comic book reading in the darkest time, and I don't forget that. I don't forget where my love of Marvel came from, and every time I have them that period of time again, I go back to there, and I love how it makes us feel. I love the storytelling. I could go on for hours. And I just want to say well done, Sam, for getting through a full episode without telling us who's died. So well done. I didn't. The only person I could do it with is the one person I don't want to do it with. Yeah, no, that's fine. But on that note, again, please, thank you very much for listening. Like I say, you can follow us on the Facebook group at Nerdy Up North Community, which again is still growing. We've got another 50 members this week, which is just mind-boggling. Again, we're on Instagram, Nerdy Up North. You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and also Amazon Music. Just search Nerdy Up North, it normally comes up. This is episode, I believe, is it 21 now? I could be wrong. I've got a clue. I haven't got it. It's in the 20s, so we are getting a lot more likes and a lot more views, which is, like, for me, like I say, we're doing something right.
But
yeah, it's lovely. Thank you to everyone who's reached out on the Facebook group, in the comments, watching, liking us, subscribing to us. It means everything.
Great. And we're coming
I'm
back
gonna cry
next
again.
and we're coming back again next week with a special guest. Again, a member that's quite vocal on the Facebook group. He's called Jake. Actually, I don't know him personally.
It's not a woman. It's not a woman.
Yeah, getting a bit of a backup. And next week, it's going to be interesting. We're doing top 5 action films. So
action movies.
Action movies.
And I will be in a different location. So that's going to be interesting. Just for the next 2 weeks, I will be at my parents' house with my 3 puppy dogs. So that's going to be fun.
Pleasure. Well, again, thank you everyone listening at same bat time, same bat channel.
Stay nerdy, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.